I guess for every review I do of a movie that has a big lizard monster in it, I'm gonna wear this shirt because it has a kind of lizard monster on it. For those of you who don't know what this is, it's a Feraligatr. It's a Pokemon. It's a water type and it's awesome. Plus it's from a video game and this movie's based off a video game, so it makes sense that way too. Rampage. I don't know what I'm doing there. So Rampage is based off the 80s arcade game that I've never touched in my life. As far as 80s arcade games go, I've played Pac-Man, Galaga. I'm sure I played some other ones, but never Rampage. It stars Dwayne the Johnson. That's what I like to call him, because I've never been a huge fan of his. Whether you want to see that as an insult or a compliment, it works both ways, but that's just what I'm forever going to call him. He's Dwayne the Johnson. He's a primatologist who works at a wildlife reserve. He has an albino gorilla friend named George, and one day this space scientific experiment goes wrong. It crashes down to Earth, several pieces go several places, and George is exposed to one of the remnants of this space experiment. So he's growing bigger, and the same thing is happening for some wild wolf somewhere and a crocodile somewhere else. So now these animals are going to grow bigger and mutate, and eventually we're going to have a rampage. Now let's talk about this movie that honestly I wanted to be fun in the least, and it has its fun parts, for sure. Also has its boring parts. I mean, Dwayne the Johnson, one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of his is because he plays the same character in everything, more or less. He plays the big, tough guy who has the strength of an Asgardian, who spits out basic humor here and there, but has enough charisma for you to not be completely annoyed with him. His character in this movie kind of reminded me of Owen Grady from Jurassic World, because the way he's interacting with George in this wildlife preserve at first, like in the beginning of the movie, it's like the exact same thing that Chris Pratt did in Jurassic World, where he's like, stand down, don't hurt the nice man. He's like, you gotta form a relationship with these animals. They have feelings, you know? I was like, hey, look, it's bald Chris Pratt. And when these animals start to mutate, he gets paired up with Naomi Harris, an actress I usually really like. I loved her in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies and the new Bond movies. In this movie, there's really nothing special about her character. She's just, the side character, and she's, super smart because she's a scientist, and she's also really attractive. But there's nothing that really stands out about her character, much like this movie itself. One more character worth noting is Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I'm gonna get this right off the bat. I don't know the first thing about The Walking Dead. I'm gonna be honest here. I know that show has a huge fan base, and I know he plays the character Negan. I don't know the first thing about Negan, but I just know that Jeffrey Dean Morgan plays Negan in The Walking Dead, and everyone knows that. That might have been why he was cast in this role for the movie. I don't know. But that being said, I thought his character was pretty annoying. He's always just smooth and smug about everything that goes down. Hey, don't worry about it. I'm a cowboy. I'll get it done. Like, even in defeat, like if some characters get the jump on him and he's like, oh, I lost, he'll be like, we'll be in touch. He had like no personality in this movie. Again, maybe that's how he is in The Walking Dead. I don't know. I would guess probably not though, because everyone loves his character. But every time he was on screen in this movie, I was like, can you do anything else than just stand there acting smug? It annoyed me. So this movie in and of itself is pretty much exactly what I thought it would be. In a word, it's absurd. It's just a fun romp that's there to be dumb. Thing is, I knew that going in, so I was ready to not hate it. I don't hate this movie by any means. The problem is that this movie is nothing more than what I thought it would be. It didn't impress me at all. In that, it was kinda boring. It didn't push any boundaries. Everything this movie had to offer, I'd seen before in other movies, even recently. Right down to the giant ape. Kong Skull Island came out a little over a year ago. I will say the characters in this movie were actually given a surprising amount of depth. I mean, Naomi Harris's character and Dwayne the Johnson's character. They were both given some backstories, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. I mean, granted, the backstories they got were pretty much exactly what I thought they would be, and if you know your basic movie formulas, then you're gonna think the same thing too. But I give the movie credit for at least giving them backstories. You know, they got the depth they need. They're not just there to be there. There's actually a reason for them caring about the situation and a reason for them being there. You'd be surprised, some movies just skip out on that entirely. But that doesn't make the characters any more special, it just saves them from being badly written characters. Enough to suffice, but not enough to impress. There were some pretty slow dialogue scenes where I was like, come on, let's just get to that end fight already. You know, the big thing we saw in the trailer that's gonna sell this movie. Of course, when it gets to that end fight, the movie commits to its absurdity and gives us our fun theme park ride. It was really cool to see. Again, it was nothing I haven't seen before. We just got a big monster fight a few weeks ago. Big monsters with animalistic characteristics are nothing new. But was it fun to watch on the screen while I was in it? Hell yeah! Again, it's the reason you go to see this movie. But to get there, you gotta plow through a lot of boring, unimpressive shit. The score in the movie was done by Andrew Lockington, who did the movies San Andreas, and I think The Space Between Us as well. And like the rest of the movie itself, it was nothing special. So moving on. In the end, Rampage didn't impress me one bit, really. Nothing about it was special. The characters weren't special. The story wasn't that special. The writing was actually pretty bad in a few scenes. The whole movie was just in the middle for me. It was neutral. I didn't love it. I did not hate it. But that end fight, I'll admit, was pretty fun. It made me go, Alright, I'll bump it up. So for Rampage, I will say, wait until this movie's at a discount theater, then go see it if you're into the kind of movie this is, which again is just an absurd romp. So Rampage, have you seen it? What did you think about it? And do you like the game? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe.